This week on football, did he touch it? Iniesta hangs up his boots. Chris Middleton, that is outrageous. Fainting goats at the Amex. You've been hit by a different Jackson. Nicholas Jackson, not Michael Jackson. Instant karma for Leeds. Dave saves. Spurs doing Spurs things. And Ollie Tanner, take a bow. Hello everyone, it is me, Alex. Welcome to This Week on Football. Thank you so much for joining me once again. I really appreciate it. To the 3 people that watch and the few more people that listen. If you haven't already subscribed, it does help us. It's really cool. If you haven't already liked the video, that also is really cool, and that helps me and helps us as a channel grow. If you've not joined me on TikTok, it's Alex Goalposts. I'm over there and you'll see all of the best bits from this week's episode, previous week's episodes, and just weird things in between where I shout at the TV, basically. I am also on Goalpost TV on Instagram. You'll see a lot of the Goalposts content, not just mine, Vince's and Baker's as well. Right, this week I have got my team of the week. I'm going to be doing your day one fantasy team reviews. I've got my weekend treble at the end of the show. As you know, I pay you guys to listen, and you still don't listen. Come on. Join in, send this to your friends. It's free money. It's not often in life someone says that they can give you free money, but my tips just seem to be so solid. And once again, we've won. So yeah, stay tuned for next week's tips. That will be at the end of the show, like I said. Let's do a but first, and that but first is about fantasy. Last week, I told everyone how proud I was of my sad little fantasy team that I'm actually really trying with this year. It got to like 3,000 or 4,000, and I thought, do you know what? That's probably as far as I'll ever go. And then this week, I went up again. I'm 3,049th in the world. That is the top 0.02% of people. And I'm slightly proud of it. It's early days, marathon, not a sprint and all that. But do you know what? Considering that I've paid a lot of attention to the FPL streamers and the kind of tipsters out there, and I'm beating them, and not just beating them, I'm absolutely hammering all of them, I think there may be a future in this. I could know things. I think the difference is this year, I've never watched any of these FPL streamers or the TikTokers or any of the YouTubers, because I always feel so proud of my own team, even though it's terrible and I kind of don't want to listen to anyone. I've still got that mentality, but this year, by watching those guys, and particularly that Andy guy on Let's Talk FPL, I've kind of, I don't know, I've got like, is a little bit more insight. I still make my own decisions, but he's like saying, yes, this player's got 2 great fixtures in 3 weeks' time or whatever, and it helps you plan ahead and get ahead of schedule. It's not working for those streamer guys, but it's working for me with my own little twist, so I'm pretty happy with it. And like I said, not like it's early in the season and it's not finished, and it is a marathon, not a sprint. But 0.02% of players, I'll take that. I'll take that. A top, I think 500th or something in England. So yeah, if you want some tips, I'll give you some. Do you know what? I'll wait till the end of the season. If I'm still in the top 100,000, then I'll start doing FPL tips. But then next year, I'll probably finish 7 millionth or whatever. Guys, I am extremely tired. I'm extremely hungover. So I apologize for my lack of energy and enthusiasm this week. But it doesn't matter. I am always here, regardless. No matter how tired or words that don't come out my mouth in proper sentences, I'm still here. So, yeah, that's either a good thing or a bad thing. It's probably a bad thing. especially if you're listening, you just hear my droning voice the whole time. It's worse if you're watching. If you're the few people that are watching, I am cap on, hood up, unshaven, and feel like death. Yeah. Why is it that I have 1 or 2 drinks and then can't stop, and then that whole night's ruined, and then the next week I feel like I want to jump off a trampoline? I nearly said a bridge then. I knew that was going to get us taken down. Hangover and feeling sorry for myself. Team of the week. Let's do that. My team of the week, as people who know the show or listen to the show, is just players that I have seen play live the full 90 minutes. No one that I've just seen on Match of the Day, like a lot of other people do. It's actual genuine opinions, even if you might disagree with them. In goal, I'm gone with Jordan Pickford. Got a clean sheet and a great penalty save against Anthony Gordon. Jordan Pickford, very underrated goalkeeper. He's been England's best goalkeeper. Probably, I might even be as... in history, I don't know, it feels strong, but at the same time, he's been there the whole way with Southgate and the 2018 team, the 2020 team that got to the final, 2022, I know, quarterfinals, but he was really good in that tournament. And again, the final in the Euros in the summer. I think he's underrated. I love his personality and a great penalty save as well against Anthony Gordon, someone that he obviously knows very well. Right back, another Everton player. I didn't think I'd pick so many Everton players this week or ever, but James Garner had to go in there right back. Look, he is playing out of position in theory as a midfielder, but Lee Carsley used him as a right back quite a lot in the under-21s, and I think that really suited him in the system that Carsley was playing. I didn't know if it was going to suit him in this system at Everton. I know he's done it a couple of times before, but with the right back situation kind of really tough at the moment, Mikalenko out at left back, Ashley Young was then pulled over there, so open spot for James Garner, and he filled it and did really well, I thought. I think he's got a good range of passing. He's very calm on the ball, like you'd expect a midfielder to be, so that's great. But he's actually pretty good positionally. He's quite aware of his surroundings, and you know, against Newcastle, a very, very good attacking side. I thought he did really well. Centre-backs, let's go with Johnny Evans, 36 years old. What is he doing there? He's basically the substitute teacher that was brought in, and all of a sudden the old teacher isn't coming back because he's run off to... I don't know why, but I was going to say to Namibia. I don't know if I've got... That's past trauma. Did one of my teachers go off to Namibia? I don't know. Maybe one of the teachers has ran off and Johnny Evans has filled in and he's a substitute teacher, and all of a sudden he is now a full-time teacher. He's playing centre-back as our first choice at Man United, and it's scary and terrifying, but he's good and he's 36, and what's he doing there? Alongside him, someone who does belong there, Pau Torres, clean sheet against Bayern Munich and then against United. He's a brilliant player. Obviously, Unai Emery's a big fan of him. Fellow Spaniard. Look, he's had a few different partners in that centre-back role. Esri Konza every now and then moves out to the right, and then all of a sudden there's a free space and Diego Carlos plays or someone else plays, Tyrone Mings. But I think pretty much your consistent player that you want there is Pau Torres. He's very good, brilliant on the ball. And just, I've always been a fan of centre-backs who can play and pass. And ball playing centre-backs is my favourite thing, and Pau Torres is very good at that, but solid, brilliant in the air. And yeah, clean sheet against Bayern, which is just top draw. That atmosphere, I know it was last week, but that atmosphere at Villa Park was incredible, I've got to say. So hats off to them. Left back, someone who was there but not playing, he was doing the punditry, Ashley Young, 39 years old. Wow. I can't believe Ashley Young's still going. But he was playing at left back. As I mentioned, the absence of Mikalenko meant that he came from right back to left back. And yeah, a really solid performance against Newcastle. Again, a very attacking side, plenty of pace. But Ashley Young, he's just a wily old fox. He knows the game inside out. He knows where to be. He's played that position at Man United. Granted, not great, but he is a left winger turned right back, turned left back, turned still playing somehow. Why, how, I don't know, but he's great. Central midfield, someone on the other end of their career. Carlos Baleba is 20 years old and one of my favourite players in the Premier League. I love him. Every time I see him play, he's brilliant. I was watching the Tottenham-Brighton game in the pub, and whilst I was slowly sinking, I was sober enough to understand that Carlos Baleba had a really good game, and I thought he was brilliant. Yeah, 20 years old, another future Brighton player that's going to be sold for God knows how much. Bruno Guimaraes alongside him. This is a player who passes the ball correctly. Just passes the ball to the feet of the player he's intending to on their strong foot with enough momentum and pace and direction that it doesn't slow up that player that he's passing to. I know that sounds really simple. I know a lot of Premier League players are capable of this, but the degree that Bruno Guimaraes does it is just, it's just perfect. I love watching Bruno play. It's a style that it's very Brazilian, very technical, but it's a style that, because he's not getting an assist, it's maybe the assist to the assist. You know, when a player's got loads of momentum, the ball is building up and then they're attacking, and the amount of times you see a pass just fall behind the winger and then they've got to kind of backtrack and it kills the move, but it's very subtle and you won't see it. Bruno Guimaraes just doesn't do that. He's just always making the right pass at the right time to the right player and the right player's strongest foot. But just an all-round brilliant player. Love his attitude. Makes great tackles in midfield. And what a great player, Bruno Guimaraes. I know he gets plenty of plaudits from the Newcastle fans. I'm not sure if he actually does from other teams' fans. And I think he does deserve that. So, yeah, he's in my team of the week. And then finishing off that midfield, Hakan Çalhanoğlu believes he's the best central midfielder in the world. And who is going to argue with him? Well, everyone has. But I happen to maybe almost agree with him. I don't know. He's brilliant. I love him. And I think he's got a point that he is a central midfielder who has done the deep role, and particularly this season, and the attacking role. And I think he's capable of both. He's so versatile in that midfield that he can play both and become a really great attacking threat. His range of passing's a joke. And he took Inter to a Scudetto and a Champions League final. And, you know, I think if he was playing for Real Madrid or somewhere else and he did win a title, then he would be talked about, but he's not, and that's because he's Turkish, I reckon. The red card this weekend really killed the game, to be honest, in a different way than I was expecting. Inter were really good, started really well against Torino, and then there was a random red card, and Çalhanoğlu went from being almost the deepest player to the player that was just taking every touch that the Inter team had, dictating play, controlling the game. It was kind of a wild game. I can't believe it ended 3-2. It should have been like 7-0. But Çalhanoğlu, just a super creative player. Lovely watching him play with that amount of space. So yeah, he's in there. Left wing, another player in that game is Marcus Thuram. Got a hat-trick in that game. He was brilliant. Scored 2 headers, I think, and then 1 horrible scuff goal, which was actually genius. I'm putting him left wing. I know he plays up front as a 2, but sometimes he plays on the left-hand side of the 3, depending how they play. This Inter side is really, 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 really good. Really good. And Marcus Thuram's had a really great start to the season. He's now joint top goal scorer in the Italian league. And yeah, I think he's a brilliant player. Look, he wanted to play left wing. His dad forced him to be a striker, and the more he plays in that central role, the better he does. He was a little bit left, but I think that's because of the system after the red card. I don't know. I'm putting him left wing. Shut up. You didn't see him. And then right wing, I've gone for Wilfried Gnonto. I like him. I hate him. He's really annoying. But he's really great. When he touches the ball, it's like it sticks to him. He's so small and he's got such a low centre of gravity. It's quite nice to see a player like that. And I'm not comparing him to Messi, but when you see those kind of small technical players who can beat a man just kind of like by doing the slightest of body feints, it's really nice to see. And Gnonto did that all game against Sunderland, and I think he was fouled like 58 times. That's an exaggeration, but he was fouled a lot. And then striker. Is this guy the tallest footballer in the world? It's a guy called Kyle Hudlin, and he plays for Newport County. And I actually didn't know, I'll be honest, I didn't know he existed until watching that game. I watch plenty of lower league football, and somehow I've missed him. He's 6'9", and he's a striker, and he scored a header against Bradford, and it was a really good header, but whilst he might have kind of almost jumped, he never needed to. He was still already a foot taller than the centre-back that was defending the ball, but he beat him comfortably and scored, and it's his second goal in as many games. So Kyle Hudlin, 24 years old, back-to-back games, could be something there. I've never seen a striker that tall. I've never seen a footballer that tall. You know, when you see Peter Crouch, right? Peter Crouch is tall. This guy's 2 inches taller than me. This guy looks down on Peter Crouch. He's that tall. And nobody talks about him. I think people will be talking about him. I think obviously his game being the main event on Sky on Monday is a big kind of, it's a spotlight on those players, and they would have loved it. I think Newport probably disappointed with that result against Bradford, getting beat in the end, but they were actually good at times, and I thought, yeah, Carl Hudlin was pretty good, and the goal was brilliant. Great header, took it really well. Right, let's do things that aren't that. Day 1 fantasy football.
One day, or day 1.
This is something I'm not proud of, and I'm hating every single week that we have to talk about it, but I promised you guys that we would talk about it because your teams are in it. So let's go through it. Goalposts TV, Day 1 League. Guess who's top? Vince. Vince's team is flying, 450 points. He's now taken a 7-point lead over Big Yeti Joe Constance, who I know is going to be watching very carefully this team throughout the season. Then third, Liam Edgar falls down to 440 points. That is now 10 points off leader Vince. And guess who's there? The Rat, the worst person who could possibly win this league. Guys, please don't let it happen. It's Tom Jordan. His Day 1 team is on 419 points. Yeah, look, if we want to talk about my side, fine. Mine is on 366. Look, I'm good at normal fantasy, apparently. Just not so good at Day 1 fantasy. My team's just unlucky, genuinely. Genuinely, I'm just unlucky. I got Bruno Fernandes, who for some reason all of a sudden can't kick a ball, can't pass, can't shoot, can't do anything. And the Man United players around him also can't do anything. And I've gone and picked 3. I'm an idiot, I know. But you'd have thought... I mean, Garnacho should have scored and assisted like 7 times this season. Rashford gets dropped even though he's the best player on the pitch, and then rested when he's just finding form. Rico Lewis, for some reason, is starting, and I think that is a good pick, but every time he does play, City seem to concede 2, so what's the point in having a defender who concedes 2 every game, even though he plays for Man City? And Leif Davis got battered this week. I don't know, I'm standing by a few of those shouts. I'm not, however, standing by my decision not to put Brian and Burmo in. And I think a lot of teams that are doing really well at the moment have that guy in. He was such an obvious option. Every season scores about 8 to 10 goals, gets a couple of assists, and he was 6.5 million. He was the obvious pick. He was the banker. He was the one that never fails, that couldn't fail, whatever Gary Neville said in his quote.
This was the no-brainer. This was the banker. This was the one that couldn't fail. This was one that's never failed.
And I've missed him, and I'm gutted about it. But he's in my normal team, and I went early on him, so I'm happy about that. At the bottom, big Elliot Van Plu on 319 points. Look, I laugh, but you're not too far off me. I think you're about as close. I'm closer to the bottom than I am the top. So there we go. Right, let's go and do some Premier League recaps. Palace got beat at home to Liverpool again. I don't know why, but Palace just aren't clicking. There's something in that Palace team that isn't working, that was working last season. It can't be the fact that Elise's gone. I mean, it could be, because obviously what a player, what a talent, and any team he goes into makes him a better team. But just defensively, I feel like they're different. I know they've brought in... They're not playing Joachim Andersen because he's gone to Fulham, and maybe that's a big difference. But then they've brought in Maxence Lacroix, who's a really solid centre half. Mark Guay stayed. You know, they brought in Daichi Kamada, who's not quite finding his feet as much as I thought he would. And Mateta's banging goals in. Eze's just not at it. I don't know. Something's wrong. And then obviously Liverpool keeping another clean sheet. They've conceded 2 goals all season under Arne Slot, so you got to give them credit. Fantastic. Diogo Jota with the goal there to win it. West Ham battered Ipswich. That probably has been coming for West Ham. You've got to look at West Ham's results, and yes, they haven't been great. Performances haven't been brilliant, but look at the players on the pitch and what they're capable of. That result was just waiting to happen. It was obvious. It was going to happen, and Ipswich took the brunt of it. I think just an unfortunate time of playing West Ham because they'd been poor and not really clicking, and then all on one day they click and bag 4. And Antonio is the best player in the world. So, yeah, unlucky Ipswich and Kieran McKenna. Man City 3-2 against Fulham. City are just going to win every game. Just accept that. They're going to win every game. Rodri maybe will be the differential. And then if Arsenal can beat them in the head-to-head when they go to the Emirates, maybe. I don't know. And please just don't let Liverpool win it. Leicester 1-0 against Bournemouth. Wasn't seeing that, but Buonanotte, great signing for Leicester. Loved him at Brighton. Thought he was a really talented player. And he scored a couple of goals for Leicester. Crucial goals as well. So well done to him and beating Bournemouth. Bournemouth are a good side. A very good side. So that's a massive 3 points for Leicester because it is going to be realistically a relegation fight for Leicester this season. So to pick up 3 points at home to Bournemouth going strong, I think that's fantastic. Are Wolves the worst side in the league? Really? I mean, they are 20th. So technically, if you look at the table, they're the worst side in the league. But they just seem to score so many goals. And yes, they get beat and they concede like 19 goals a game. But they're a lovely team to watch. They're really exciting. The games are great. There's loads of tenacity and some actual quality players. Ryan Aït-Nouri and Mateus Cunha, Mario Lemina. I really like that Strand Larsen up top for them as well. I actually really like the side. I just can't work out what's going on. And why is Jose Sarr been dropped? I don't understand it. Wolves fans, you'll know more than I will. But yeah, Brentford scoring 5 goals at home. Impressive. Very impressive. And Thomas Frank, we know the calibre of manager that he is and keeping this Brentford side in the division. I mean, getting them up in the first place was a feat of, enormous feat. But to then keep them up and then keep them doing well and scoring 5 goals, like they're an established Premier League side now. So well done, Brentford. But you will lose Mbeumo in the summer at the very latest. So, yeah. Doing well without Ivan Toney, by the way. So you've got... they lose players and they still do fine. Arsenal, they won 3-1 against Southampton. Massive result. Again, I'll say it and I'm not going to linger on the point, but Bukayo Saka coming through. Nobody gives him the credit other than Arsenal fans and me, apparently. But yeah, fantastic. What a player. 7 assists already this season. And then obviously scored one of the goals as well. Brilliant. Everton, Newcastle, that was 0-0. I spoke about that in my team of the week. And yeah, some really good performances. Disappointing day or evening for Anthony Gordon returning back to Goodison Park. But he took it well. You got to give it him that. And this type of character that he is, he'll just bounce back and be even stronger for it. I love his mentality. And yeah, I think moments like this is where Anthony Gordon will separate himself from a lot of players, where a lot of players would really take that very, very hard. I think he's got such an elite mentality. Love the way he talks and thinks. I think he'll be absolutely fine and he'll be stronger for that. Chelsea against Forest, that surprised me. I'd have said Chelsea all day long, bankers to beat Forest, but Forest are a good side and Chris Wood always scores somehow. And that Cole Palmer touch was either amazing or the biggest fluke ever, but I'm going to go with amazing because I'm an optimist, all right? Villa 0-0 against Man United. Talking about optimism, I don't really feel very optimistic about Man United. Villa, brilliant, but there's no way Manchester United should be turning up at Villa Park, not turning up and thinking, we might win, just thinking that we're going to get battered and turned over, and I go away at 0-0 and think, I'll take that, just because it's another week where we're not getting embarrassed, and they shouldn't be like that. It really shouldn't. You look at the defensive situation. I'd have dropped Martinez. I thought he's been really poor the last couple of weeks, but I do think he's a fantastic player. De Ligt, a victim of the system and the shocking manager that is in charge, and I understand why you'd then go with 2 centre-halves that you could trust in Maguire and Evans, but then you've just sat them on the edge of the box and defended all game, so it's what they do. It's not a surprise. Villa, not as good as I was thinking they would have been, but probably took a lot out of them that midweek game against Bayern. And I think if you'd have said to them before the start of this week, you'll beat one of Man United or Bayern and get a point against the other, they would have snapped your hand off. So, yeah, well done Unai Emery and well done Emi Martinez as well, because he was brilliant in that Bayern game. Brighton 3, Spurs 2. Spurs doing what Spurs do. Didn't mean that to rhyme. This is weird. That came out in the most poetically perfect way ever, but it's true. Why do they do this? It's not the manager. It is a culture in the club that seems to just breed this, like, I hate saying the word, it's so overused, but bottling it. You're 2-0 up. You got better players than Brighton. You got a better manager. Go and win the game. See it out. It's an Ange issue in theory, because at no point does an Ange team just settle for the game and think, oh, we've scored 2 and shut up shop, which is why we love watching Ange ball and watching him play. But he should be maybe a little bit more pragmatic at times. I don't know. It's one of those where you'll hear all commentators complain throughout the game, just shut up shop, stop attacking, whatever, but that's not what he's ever going to do. That's his philosophy. And I do think Ange Postecoglou in a better, bigger club would be an absolute animal, and I think he could compete with Pep Guardiola and he could compete with Mikel Arteta if he had a proper club behind him. That's no offence to Spurs, because Spurs are a brilliant club, unbelievable stadium, fan base is brilliant, and some of the players are fantastic, but I don't know if he's the one who's going to change the culture. I think he needs to be somewhere where the culture is attacking football, free-flowing, aggressive, and I think that actually could be Man United. That's my opinion. Premier League is as good as done for some teams already. Let's be honest. Tottenham, they're not going to challenge for the title. Man United definitely aren't. I think Chelsea could, but that game at home to Forest, I think you've got to go and win those if you want to win a title. Top 4, I think they'll go for, because I think they're brilliant. I do really like Chelsea, and some of the players are outrageous. Aston Villa, I think, showing what the slight lack of squad depth is going to be like for them in the Champions League and the Premier League this season. Taking all that energy out of you during that game, that Bayern game, it's only going to end up one way. They were flat against Man United, and those are the games that Man City or Arsenal go and win, and Liverpool, after a big European game, they can go and turn up on the weekend and get the job done. I think that's probably the reason why Villa won't challenge for a title in a while. They do need bigger squad depth, but you never know. A bit of investment into that side. They're in the Champions League, and maybe in the Champions League again next year. They might be able to really strengthen that squad. As it stands, yeah, top 4 I think would be an unbelievable result for them if they can do it this season. Brighton going really, really well. A solid side. I'm shocked. At the start of the season, I said, look, new manager. Don't know if I fancy it. He's the youngest manager in the league by quite a distance. I think he's the youngest manager that's ever managed in the Premier League. And it's his first big job. I didn't see it working out for him, but it is. And I don't know how. The players just, when you go to Brighton, all of a sudden, you're amazing. You could be the most average player. James Milner, his career kind of just flatlining and then kind of going down. And is he going to retire? Goes to Brighton. Oh, he's great. Adam Lallana, he's great. How does it happen? Danny Welbeck, he's amazing. Already scored like 4 goals. What happens at Brighton when you go to Brighton, you put the Brighton shirt on and all of a sudden you're class? Brilliant for Brighton. I actually love it. It's great. It's great. Yeah, fantastic. And at the bottom, yeah, we talked about Wolves. Southampton are going to struggle. I think Russell Martin was furious after that Bournemouth game last week, and then obviously made the changes against Arsenal. It's not going to be an easy game against Arsenal. You're likely going to get beat, but I thought they did a good job. Showed that they're a Premier League side, that they can hurt a big team. Showed plenty of spirit, so you've got to give them credit for that. And Everton, obviously, picking up points, clean sheets here and there, and they're doing all right. Let's do comments of the week, celeb edition. So these are some kind of half-ish celebrities that have been commented on our posts this week. Strictly Come Dancing's Neil Jones said, as a Liverpool fan, you're wrong. That was about Baker saying that Darwin Núñez is better than Thierry Henry, which is obviously so true. No, it's a chomp and people are still falling for it somehow. World champion boxer Lyndon Arthur said, "Don't do drugs, kids." That was also about Baker talking about Darwin Núñez being a better player. We're now, I think, well over 500,000 people have seen Baker's forfeit that I concocted and my evil genius came up with to try and get people to hate him. It worked. Didn't know that you actually needed to get people to hate Baker, but it's great to put him on the world stage. 500,000 people. Amazing. That's great. And I hope that happens again because he deserves every single one of these comments. Actually, someone said you should go and die, and that's unfair. That's extreme. But if you'd have spent the other night with him out after he'd had a drink, you maybe think the same. Basketball player Cavell Bigby Williams said, "What drugs does he use and why hasn't it been banned yet?" Fair point. Boxing influencer Coogan Cassius said, "Is this AI?" That was also about Baker. We've had quite a few kind of famous people like it as well, not just commenting on it, but yeah, some really strange people interacting with our posts. It's always fun on Instagram. On TikTok, you never see it. So if someone famous ever likes it or comments it, it's quite hard to see it unless they've got the blue check. On Instagram, we always see all the famous people that interact with our posts, so it is really cool. I'm going to bring you some more of these in future just so you're in the loop as well. But we are going to make sure that it's mainly just you guys and what your opinions are and the outrageous things that you say to us and the horrible, mean things that you say to us. Right, weekend treble time. This is why you're not mean to me. This is why you should be nice to me, because I win you money. 3 picks at odds of around 2 to 1, roughly £10 on, usually will make you a profit throughout the season. Last season, we made a profit. This season, week 1, made you 33 quid. Week 2, I lost you tenner. Week 3, I won you 33. Week 4, I won you 29. Week 5, I won you 34. Week 6, I won you 29. Week 7, I lost you a tenner. And then this week, I won you £32.57. Guys, I have predicted, and I'm going to do the maths here, actually. So it's 8 times 3. Guys, what is that? Come on. 16. It's 20-something. 8 times 3, and then minus, I've got 3 selections wrong, to be fair. So, yeah, I've got 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, minus 3, 24 selections out of 27 this season. Come on. That's all right. That's not bad. And the thing is, the ones that I've got wrong have been the ones on 2 different things. So it means that you actually would have made more money by backing the trebles every week rather than the individual ones, which is even better. So based off £10 a week, your total profit, not including your stake, your profit would be £112.04. What other person who does podcasts and kind of talks into the camera like a fucking lunatic could earn you 10 times the amount of money that you give him? I don't even want your money. Just do it by yourself. I'm just trying to help, all right? So this week, my selections, Lithuania versus Kosovo over 1.5 goals. Harrogate versus Newport over 1.5 goals. And Peterborough versus Rotherham over 2.5 goals. £10 returns you £29.79. And hopefully we can add to those weekend trebles. I think this is a tough one this week. Look, the weekend trebles I always struggle with when it is international. I think it's quite easy to predict a lot of international games, but the odds fall really, really low. So it's hard to build up to around the 3-ish mark. So you then have to pull things from other selections. So I've had to pull in Harrogate and Peterborough. Not ideal, but trust me. Look, if it loses, we're still £102 up, even if it loses, guys. Stick with me, all right? So, yes, I am back this week on Wednesday and every Wednesday until the end of the season. I'm back with Vince in a couple of weeks. He's taking a break. He's going to Cyprus or Greece or somewhere, I don't know, somewhere warm. And I think we still might be doing something with Igloo and Hartley, the band from years ago. They're making a comeback tour in the UK. So we're going to go to their rehearsals, speak to them, get them on the podcast. That should be fun. That might be rearranged. We're trying to work with them at the moment. They've got a show in London that we're going to. So I don't know. We'll see. Watch this space. If there's anyone that you think should be a guest on the show, guys, give us suggestions. Tell me. We'll make it happen. Some of the people that we end up speaking to is crazy and we never thought we'd do it. but we want to do more. And if you want to be on there, then you can be on there. Write in. You know, we are looking for new creators. I said it last season. We want new creators. We want new people. We want new ideas. So anything that you want to give us feedback on, let me know. You can contact me on TikTok directly, goalpost Alex, and I'll sometimes reply. I'll always reply. Do you know what? I'll always reply. If you're listening to this and you want to contact me on TikTok, you'll always get a reply. Unless you're Baker, then I ignore all of his messages for the whole week. Thanks, guys. Have a great week. Bye.